Hey guys, what is up? It is your friendly neighbor Dubers here, and I'm just gonna do a video because I feel like talking about something. So this will be another sort of podcasty video. If you don't want to listen to something, that's cool. You know, you don't have to watch. But obviously, you could even use this as background noise if you want. But the thing I want to talk about is there's a question that is thrown around constantly. And that question obviously is, how do I get into speedrunning? Or how do I get into Dota? Or how do I improve at X, Y, or Z? Or how do I start X, Y, or Z? Whatever, right? That question. And I think that that question is a little bit silly. I think that it is almost impossible to answer regardless of the context. But people are still looking for answers for it, you know, every day. So I basically am making this video. This will be mostly about speedrunning, but it'll also be a little bit about Dota if you want to listen to that. But let's start with the speedrunning. So for speedrunning, most people who ask, how do I get into speedrunning, are probably asking before they do anything, right? They casually play video games, they've watched speedrun streams before, and it's probably been not much more than maybe a week since they've been interested in speedrunning. So obviously the question is, how do I get into it? Because they wanna experience it, they wanna understand what's so enjoyable about it. But I honestly think that the best answer to the question, and again, this is a little bit weird to actually have an answer to the question in my opinion, but the best answer to the question is do it. And what I mean by that is that speedrunning is a very organic process. The process goes a little something like, play a game casually, is step one. Step two, enjoy the game enough that you want to keep playing it after you beat it. Step three is find a way to, you know, continue playing the game, which in a lot of cases is speedrunning, and then that's it. You're speedrunning. So I'll throw out an example, a personal example. Before I even knew that speedrunning was like an actual thing, I really enjoyed the game Portal, as I assume a lot of people did. And even after Portal 2 came out, I just thought Portal was better for some reason. I don't know why, but I started messing around with Portal, and I was like, this is cool. This game is awesome. I want to keep playing it. And then eventually I was like, okay, I've beaten the story multiple times. I've messed around with all the stuff, searched for secrets and, you know, optional stuff, found weird additional solutions to certain chambers, right? Stuff that probably wasn't intended. And then at that point, I was like, how about I see how fast I can beat it? So then I plopped up a timer, like a web timer or something really gross, and then I clicked start, and then I hit start game, and then I went until the game was over. And, you know, my times were obviously bad because I didn't know anything. They were like, you know, hour or so. But every time that I did it, every single time that I would do that and just play the game quickly, I would get a better time. And that was the draw to me, is that I would continue improving something, the skill that I had, which was play a video game fast, and that was that. And that was before I knew speedrunning existed. So then when I found out speedrunning was like actually a thing that people do, I was like, this is awesome. So then I just did it and started speedrunning games. So that's pretty much, you know, how to start speedrunning, is just do it. So then the other question is, what game do I start with? What's an easy game for beginners, is what a lot of people say. But I think that that question is probably more silly than the first. The way that I see the second question is basically people want to, they want to speedrun, right? But they don't have the, I guess you could say, the passion for it. Because if you have a passion for speedrunning, the games you speedrun should solely be decided on games that you enjoy playing. Obviously, a lot of people see that as a cop-out answer, where they ask, hey, what game should I start with? And then somebody says, play a game you like. They see it as a cop-out because they want an actual answer. But that is the actual answer. Play a game you like. Because in speedrunning, you're going to be playing a game for, you know, hundreds of hours, maybe thousands of hours, depending on how committed you are. So if you're picking a game that you don't necessarily like, I don't think you want to commit thousands of hours of your time to it. And in the end, you might enjoy it for a week or so, maybe upwards of 100 hours, but then you'll just be done, and you'll be bored with it, because it's not a game that you enjoy. Speedrunning to me is a way to just play a game that you enjoy more, rather than to speedrun. Sure, speedrunning has this culture around it, and it has the GDQ events, which I think are phenomenal and awesome, because it shows to the public that speedrunning is a thing. People do this, and we can do this to help people, to raise money for charity. It's a thing that you can do. You can do anything to help other people out. It's just a matter of doing it in a specific way. And I think it's awesome that speedrunning is becoming sort of a mainstream thing. It's becoming known more publicly, because speedrunning's been around for a long time. Like, for a long time. Even back before most of the consoles that people speedrun on nowadays were even released, speedrunning still existed in games like Quake or other games with demo recorders on PC, because at the time it was pretty tough to record consoles. You could use DVD recorders and stuff like that, but that wasn't very common. So a lot of people who speedrun did PC games because it was easier to record and share. But I think that the fact that now it went from a fairly unknown thing to what it is now, which is one of the highest, the most successful charity marathon. It is the content of one of the most successful charity marathons that's ever existed. I think that that's a really, really cool thing. And I understand why a lot of people are drawn to speedrunning because of that. Because they're like, this is cool, I want to do this, I want to help people, I want to run at a GDQ or help out with a GDQ because I want to help raise money for charity, and this is a cool way to do it. But I think a lot of the people who are trying to get into speedrunning and actually ask the question, they ask the question, how do I get into it, or what game should I start with? I think those people a lot of times don't have the passion to actually speedrun. They'll probably do it for a small amount of time and then give up on it because they find it boring. But if you do have the passion to actually speedrun, and you did ask the question, how do I get started, or what game do I run? I think the answer to you would be just do it. Pick a game you like and just do it. It doesn't matter if you're getting world records. It doesn't matter if you're using all the optimal strats. It doesn't matter if the game is glitchy. As long as you're enjoying your time playing the game, and as long as you have a personal best that you are enjoying to improve, every time you do improve it, you get a good feeling, stuff like that. As long as all of those checkboxes are checked, then you're speedrunning. Like, it doesn't matter if you're picking Ocarina of Time and you don't know about the wrong warp, right? And you're just doing, your PB is like 5 hours, right? It doesn't matter that your PB is slow compared to the rest of the community. As long as you're enjoying yourself, then you're speedrunning. And that's honestly like the best way that I can respond to that question, is just do it. And now that I've made the topic a bit more, I've answered it, I guess, a bit more, and now I can talk about Dota a little bit. Dota, I get the question on my stream a bunch, and I also see it like on Reddit or whatever, or wherever else people are talking about Dota. The question is obviously like, how do I get into Dota, or how do I get better? And again, the answer is just do it. A lot of cases where people want to get into something, they want to ask around so they don't do something wrong. And it's understandable. A lot of things, like a lot of hobbies. Let's say you like building computers. You're not just going to fucking walk over to, your local Micro Center or Fry's or whatever, wherever the store that sells computer parts. You're not going to go there, look at the parts, and instinctively know what you need and how to put it together, right? You're going to need help. And that's understandable, because that's fairly common with a lot of hobbies. But most gaming related hobbies, there's no downside to messing up, right? So when it comes to a computer or building computers, building cars, cooking, anything like that, there's downside to making mistakes. Like with a computer, you waste money. Same with a car. And cooking, you waste food and maybe money, whatever. Right? There's a downside to not doing it correctly. But with almost anything gaming related, there isn't that downside at all. You risk nothing by just speedrunning, aside from time commitment. But if you want to get into speedrunning, you're going to have to get used to, losing a lot of time. Because that happens. You'll have runs that'll get 25 minutes in, and then some horrible game-breaking bug will ruin the run, and you'll have to kill it. And that's 25 minutes wasted. But you have to get used to it. Right? That's a thing. So when you start out, even if it feels like a waste of time, at least you're getting used to it. And then with Dota, the only thing you risk is getting, 4 random people who are on your team who are equally new at the game or equally, bad or whatever. All you do is risk those 4 people not liking you. And then you'll probably never see them again. So at the end of the day, I think the easiest answer and the most correct answer to any question of how do I get into this or how do I get better at this when it comes to video game related things is just do it. Just don't jump in the deep end. And just, everything will work out in time. Maybe it won't be great at the start, but as time goes on, it can only get better. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the topic. So obviously this was a shorter video, but I will, at the end of this, plug obviously you see it on your screen, but I just want to plug an article that was written by OmniGamer that is about speedrunning. It's more of like a paper, like a thesis paper. And it's really a really good read. If you're already a speedrunner, it's still a really good read. If you're not a speedrunner and you just find it interesting, I think it's a phenomenal read. If you don't understand speedrunning, I think it's a perfect read, because what it does is it pretty much breaks down what is great about speedrunning. And it's just, it's a really good read. It's really well thought out, really well written. And yeah, you guys should definitely check that out. It's on the SDA knowledge base, and it's really, really cool. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, OmniGamer is planning on updating it in the future with more information or whatever. But yeah, if you are starting out in speedrunning, like if you're wondering where to go, I recommend reading that article and going from there, and then obviously taking the advice of just do it. But other than that, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.